Larry didn't seem to be too pleased with a lot of parts of the offensive play on Saturday, but can you speak to the offensive line, particularly where the issues were?
Well, I think the whole thing was pitiful in the first half, really unexplainable, to be honest. We knew we had some young guys out there. It was the first time they were going to play, so we expected some of those guys to have some growing pains, but the guys that have been out there before, we expect them to play like it, and it's the three and outs mounted, and you saw some guys panic on the sideline, and it was kind of alarming, We were able to get him in at halftime, and it really wasn't about some big adjustments. It was just about settling them down and understanding what needs to be done. And once they kind of calmed down and started doing routine plays like they're capable of, we started to do some positive things. But it was an embarrassment. And it wasn't even about anything that was happening on the other side. Give them credit. They played hard, but there was nothing to be confused about. It was everything. I mean, hell, the first third and three, we got three guys over there and one defender. You take that all day and we don't execute it, and I could go down the list. So it's all on us. It's on the coaches. It's on the players. I mean, it was pitiful. The only thing we got going for us is we feel like we finally got some momentum going in the fourth quarter, and that needs to carry over.
To take your word, panic, is that in part the youth and experience that was kind of coming through at that time?
Well, that's the case with some of those guys, but you got some guys that have played before, and so those guys have got to be the guys to kind of rally the troops and calm them down and get them going. And we didn't see that. We didn't see the leadership we need. So hopefully that's a great growing experience. It's a painful one for all of us. It shouldn't have had happened, but it did, so we got to find a way to correct it.
I think you started to allude to it, the play in the fourth quarter. What was the difference up front as far as what they were doing?
Oh, I think it was not even just up front, it was the whole offense. I mean, just, again, executing your base plays. It's really all it was. I mean, I could go through every play in that first half. It was just base stuff and guys, whether it was, an old lineman falling off a block, if it was the quarterback with the wrong read, if it was the receiver with his wrong route, if it was, so on and so forth. The back not going on his right track, whatever it was, there was a lot of things. And so you can't play good offensive football unless all 11 guys are doing their job. That's the thing about offense. You can't have 10, you got to have 11. And that was the thing. It just finally, middle of third quarter, guys started doing their jobs. And it's like anything else. Offensive football, you get one first down, right? And you get momentum. And then you can play with some tempo and change it up, and they're on their heels. When you go 3 and out, there's no momentum, there's nothing. And that's where the panic set in. So, again, hopefully we learned our lesson.
So you think there were some nerves maybe initially, as typically as with season opener, and then things snowballed?
I think there's nerves in every game for everybody. You have that. Again, I don't want to give a free pass to the guys that was the first time they played, but you expect some of that from them. But there were some guys that were out there that had played before that didn't execute at a high enough level, and that's the part that's disappointing.
What was the tone of the tape session with the O-line? What kind of tone did you take? What was the vibe in there?
The whole tone with the offense.
Oh, the video session with the offense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there was a tone with the whole offense, and it was not a good tone. It was an angry tone, and they understood it, and they took responsibility, and we as coaches take responsibility because it's our job to get them ready to play. So we had a long offensive meeting. It wasn't one position group; it was the whole offense didn't execute, and we made sure they understood it wasn't acceptable.
How did William Barnes grade out?
Average. He did some things that were good, and he did some things where he looked like a freshman. Now, again, that part I understand some of that, right? But we just need him to get better.
How much did he play? Sorry, last one. Sorry.
He split time, so he had half the reps.
Okay. Thanks.
What do you tell your guys going into East Carolina, where it can be daunting down there as far as crowd noise and all that?
Oh, yeah, they better understand that when we go down there, those guys are going to be sky high and playing as good as they've ever played, and it's proven fact, right? I think the last time we went down there wasn't a good experience. And then you've seen teams like Virginia Tech, to NC State, that have gone down there and not come away with positive days. So we've been expressing to them that it's not going to be a hostile environment, and those guys on the other sideline are going to play better than what they saw this past week, I promise you.
Going back to the Cal game, Nathan said afterward that he felt like when you guys called a few more runs for him, that it kind of loosened things up on the defense, and he felt like everything kind of came from that. Is that what you saw?
Well, it wasn't necessarily the run for him. It was actually plays that were working. So, you know, all of a sudden you run a play and you get 8 to 10 yards and you get a first down. Now all of a sudden things are working. And it's like I alluded to earlier, it's really offensive football. Get that first down, right? And that sounds easy, cliche, but once that starts happening, the momentum builds. And then they're on their heels. And that's all that was happening. Is just we found something we could execute, and we started to execute it, and it just opened up things. You know, yeah, maybe we settled down because they saw progress. I really believe that's what it was.
Are you plan on making any changes as far as people you might start differently?
We evaluate that every day, and we look at our depth chart, and anywhere that there's competition, if we can play some other guys, we will. We're a little hamstrung in some areas right now with depth, and you know, in a few weeks we'll have everybody back, so that'd be great. But in the meantime, the guys that are here right now, it's a competition every day.
Larry wasn't happy with the penalties. How do you go about addressing that with the guys to make sure that doesn't happen again?
You know, we have 5 on offense, which is 5 too many, and we stressed it this camp more than we ever have. Held them responsible, you know, and it was pretty good. The camp, our scrimmages, we didn't have very many. You know, you get 2 holding penalties on 17. I think he was being aggressive more than him holding, and I can take the effort there. The legal procedure is what you don't want. You know, your center twitched, and so that's the part that you got to eliminate those. We was talking about the pre-snap or post-snap penalties. Sometimes an aggressive play and you get a holding penalty like that on Ratliff. I'm not saying we're going to accept it, but that's part of the game sometimes. But you can't have the pre-snap penalties or any post-play penalties.
Thanks,